The sun had barely touched the horizon when the African savanna began to breathe. Pale gold light spread over the plains, painting the acacia trees in soft amber and setting the tall grass aflame with morning dew. The air shimmered with warmth and scent, crushed leaves, damp earth. The faint sweetness of wild blossoms hidden in the brush. The herd of elephants moved across the open land like a slow, ancient river, silent, powerful, each step pressing deep into the soil. Dust rose from their feet, curling around them in ribbons of gold. At the center of the herd walked a young calf, small and round, still learning the rhythm of the world. His ears flapped clumsily as he tried to mimic his mother's graceful movements. Every sound drew his attention: the whistle of a distant bird, the croak of a frog, the soft crunch of his own feet on the dry earth. His mother, a massive female with deep scars tracing her flank, walked close beside him. Her movements were calm, but her eyes were always scanning, searching the horizon, the grass, the trees. Her trunk occasionally brushed her calf's back, a quiet signal of safety and love. To her, he was everything: the future of the herd, the pulse of her world. The elephants moved toward a river that wound like a silver ribbon through the landscape. Along its banks, the mud was dark and soft, dotted with the tracks of countless creatures: buffalo, antelope, and something else. Something that left a long, sinuous trail pressed deep into the wet earth. The baby elephant squealed with delight as his feet met the water. He splashed, trumpeting softly, spraying arcs of mud across his own face. The other calves joined in, their small trunks swinging wildly. Laughter, if elephants could laugh, seemed to fill the air, low rumbles echoing like thunder rolling beneath the ground. For a moment, the world was perfect, but the wild never stays gentle for long. Hidden in the reeds nearby, a giant African rock python lay coiled and silent. Its body was thicker than a man's thigh, scales patterned in dull gold and brown, almost invisible against the mud and roots. The serpent's head rested motionless, its tongue flicking in and out, tasting the air. It could sense the vibrations of the elephants through the ground, the rhythm of their movements pulsing through its body like distant thunder. To a python, patience was everything. It could wait hours, even days, for the right moment to strike. The snake's unblinking eyes watched the baby calf. So small, so unaware. Each splash he made sent ripples through the water, each one a signal. The python began to move, inch by inch, its muscles sliding under its skin with eerie silence. The reeds trembled softly as it advanced, unseen. The mother elephant froze for a second. Something, a vibration, a whisper of movement, reached her senses. She lifted her head, ears wide, trunk raised. The rest of the herd followed her lead, stilling instantly, listening to the silence. Even the birds stopped calling. Only the faint rustle of wind in the grass remained. Then, nothing. The danger seemed to fade as quickly as it came. The mother lowered her trunk slowly, her heavy breaths easing. Perhaps it was only the memory of danger, an echo of the dry season's tension when predators often stalked the watering holes. She turned back to her calf, who was now trying to pull up a tuft of grass with his short, clumsy trunk. She reached out and touched him gently, the rough skin of her trunk brushing over his back. He leaned against her leg, comforted. The herd began to relax again, drinking and feeding in small groups, the calm returning like a tide. But beneath the still surface of the riverbank, the python kept moving. It was close now, only a few meters away. Its head rose slightly above the mud, tongue flicking faster. Every breath it took was silent, deliberate. The air between predator and prey seemed to tighten, invisible threads of fate drawing them together. The baby calf took another step forward into the shallows. His reflection shimmered beside him in the brown water, distorted by ripples. He reached down to drink, and the reeds behind him shifted. The mother's eyes snapped toward the movement. A sound, faint, like the soft hiss of sand sliding, brushed her ear. She trumpeted sharply, a warning that sent birds exploding from the trees. The herd froze again, their bodies tense, forming a protective wall around the young. The air was electric now, charged with unseen danger. The calf, startled by his mother's cry, stumbled backward. His tiny feet splashed in panic. The python paused, half coiled, its body still hidden. It had been seconds from striking. Now it hesitated, its predator's mind calculating. The mother stepped forward, her massive frame between the snake and her calf. Her eyes swept the reeds, nostrils flaring. The python felt her presence, the vibration of her steps shaking through its belly. For a moment, it reconsidered. A baby was easy prey, but a mother elephant was death itself. Still, hunger is a cruel master. Slowly, the python retreated deeper into the shadows, its coils vanishing under the reeds once more. The danger passed, but not gone. It was only waiting. The mother elephant didn't relax this time. She stood there long after the herd had moved away, scanning the grass, her heart still pounding. She could feel it, the weight of unseen eyes, the pulse of something watching. She wrapped her trunk around her baby again, gently pushing him toward the center of the group. Her gaze lingered on the water one last time. In the glare of the rising sun, the river shimmered. Calm, beautiful, and deceptive, the savanna had returned to peace. The wind carried the scent of dust and dry grass. Birds sang again. But beneath that harmony, a silent predator waited. As the elephants moved farther from the river, the python lifted its head, watching their shapes grow smaller in the distance. Its hunger had not faded, only deepened. And when the heat of noon began to press down upon the plains, it would try again. For now, the mother elephant walked on, her calf close by her side, unaware of the shadow that had almost claimed him. Her steps were heavy but sure, the rhythm of a heart that had learned to fear and to love in equal measure. The sun rose higher, and the savanna glowed like fire. Life moved on, unaware that the day's calm was only the breath before the storm. And somewhere behind them, hidden in the reeds, the python waited for nightfall. The jungle held its breath. The mother's heart did not. The sky trembled under the weight of the afternoon sun. Heat waves rippled across the dry grass, bending the horizon into a blur of gold and silver. Cicadas screamed from the trees, their sound constant and sharp, like the pulse of the savanna itself. By the river's edge, the herd of elephants stood half submerged, throwing water over their backs, their gray skin glistening in the light. Dust floated lazily in the air, turning every beam of sunlight into a ribbon of gold. The baby elephant splashed in the shallows, lost in his tiny world. His trunk curled and uncurled as he scooped mud onto his head, then squealed in delight when it slid down his face. His mother watched him from nearby, her tusks streaked with old marks, her trunk swaying in rhythm with her breath. She had relaxed for the first time all day. The danger she'd sensed that morning seemed far away now, just a shadow of instinct. The herd was calm. The world was still. Then the ground behind the baby shifted, but it was almost nothing. A small ripple through the reeds, a faint vibration that only the wild could hear. But in that instant, the silence broke. The python struck out a flash of motion, brown and gold and deadly fast. The reeds exploded outward as the serpent's massive body launched forward, hitting the calf with the force of a falling tree. A high, piercing trumpet ripped through the air as the baby fell into the water, thrashing wildly. The snake coiled tighter and tighter, its muscles rippling beneath its scales, each movement squeezing the air from the calf's lungs. The sound that followed was raw terror, the kind that cuts through every living creature nearby. The herd froze, trunks raised, eyes wide with alarm. The mother spun around, trumpeting so loud the ground seemed to shake. In the chaos of her panic, everything slowed. She saw her baby, his small legs kicking, his trunk flailing helplessly as the coils of the python tightened around him. She saw the dust lifting into the air, the splashes of muddy water, the shimmer of scales that caught the sunlight like blades. And in that heartbeat, something inside her snapped. Her fear became fury. The earth shook as she charged. Her first hit landed like thunder. She rammed the python with her head, throwing half its body into the air. The impact sent shockwaves through the water, splattering mud across her chest. The snake hissed, its jaw gaping open to reveal curved fangs slick with saliva. It didn't let go. Instead, it coiled again, wrapping one loop higher, around the calf's neck. The baby's cry cracked through the air, a broken sound, full of terror and choking gasps. The herd began to panic, trumpeting and stamping, circling in confusion. Some of the older females moved closer, rumbling in distress, while others backed away, their instincts torn between fight and flight. The mother roared, a deep, primal sound that echoed across the plains. She struck again, slamming her foot down on the snake's body, pressing it hard into the mud. The python twisted violently, muscles flexing under her weight, its body writhing like a storm. The water turned dark with silt. Birds burst from the nearby trees, screaming into the sky. The air was filled with motion, dust, wings, sound, and terror all tangled together. The baby struggled weakly now, his body slick with mud, his eyes wide with panic. His small trunk reached toward his mother, trembling in the air as if pleading for her to save him. She answered not with sound, but with power. Her tusks slammed into the ground inches from the snake's head, spraying earth and stone. She lifted her front legs high and brought them crashing down again, driving the python deeper into the mud. The impact sent a deep, dull thud across the riverbank. Still, the snake didn't release. It turned its head toward her, mouth opening in a silent snarl, tongue flicking rapidly. Then, in a flash of instinct, the python struck back, its head whipped upward, faster than lightning, and sank its fangs deep into the thick skin of the mother's trunk. She roared in agony, rearing back, blood streaking down her face. Her massive body swayed for a second, and the snake tightened again, as if it knew this was its only chance. But the pain didn't stop her. It ignited her. With a scream that shattered the silence of the savannah, the mother elephant charged again, harder, faster, unstoppable. She slammed into the python with all her weight, lifting it clear off the ground. The coils snapped apart under the force. The snake's body whipped through the air like a rope, crashing against a fallen tree. For a moment, everything froze, the baby lying in the mud, the mother panting heavily, the snake twisting weakly as it tried to gather itself. The mother didn't wait. She stomped forward, trumpeting wildly, driving the serpent back into the reeds. Each step was thunder. Each breath was a growl. The python retreated, sliding toward the shadows, its body scarred and bent. It moved slower now, dragging itself into the underbrush. The battle was over, but the silence that followed was heavier than before. The mother turned toward her calf. He lay in the shallows, chest heaving, his tiny body trembling. She moved closer, her trunk trembling as it brushed against his side. For a terrifying moment, he didn't respond. The herd stood behind her, silent, their great forms outlined by the glare of the sun. Then, a small sound, a weak, wheezing trumpet escaped the calf's mouth. His eyes blinked open. His legs twitched. The mother lowered herself beside him, curling her trunk around his body, as if to protect him from the world itself. Her body shook with exhaustion, blood dripping from the wound on her trunk. Her breaths came in ragged bursts. The herd began to move closer again, forming a protective circle around them both. The air still smelled of fear, of sweat, mud, and blood, but the tension had begun to fade. Overhead, a vulture circled, its wings casting a shadow across the riverbank. Somewhere in the distance, a lion roared. The savannah was returning to its rhythm, cruel, calm, eternal. The mother stayed beside her calf, her great shadow covering him. The python was gone, but the memory of it lingered in the air, heavy and invisible as the sun dipped lower. The water shimmered like liquid fire. The herd began to move on, slow and careful, guiding the shaken calf between them. The mother took one last look at the reeds, now still, empty, and then turned away. Each step she took left deep prints in the mud, side by side with the tiny footprints of her baby. The storm had passed, but its echo would remain forever in that patch of earth, a silent scar beneath the sun. And as night began to fall, the wind whispered across the plains, carrying with it the faint sound of a mother's breath. Deep, tired, and unbroken, the savannah was quiet again. But it was not the same. The world was still. The riverbank lay scarred and silent, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Dust hung in the air like smoke after battle. The wind had stopped. Even the cicadas, the tireless singers of the savannah, had gone quiet. All that remained was the heavy, uneven breathing of two survivors, the mother elephant and the python she had defeated. The mother stood trembling, her great sides rising and falling with each ragged breath. Blood streaked her trunk, dripping slowly onto the cracked mud below. Her ears drooped, her legs shook, but her eyes, dark, wide, and filled with fire, never left the small, still body lying beside her. The baby elephant lay half buried in the mud, his chest barely moving. His small trunk was limp, covered in streaks of dust and blood where the python's coils had left their cruel marks. Flies began to circle, drawn to the scent of sweat and fear. For a moment, it seemed like the silence would last forever. Then, a sound out of faint. Trembling CRY.IT escaped from the calf's trunk, weak but alive. The mother froze, her breath catching in her chest. Then, slowly, she lowered herself beside him, bending her massive frame until her trunk could reach his face. She touched him gently, once, twice, as if afraid he might break under her touch. He moved. Just barely. A low rumble rolled through her chest, deep and soft, the sound elephants used to comfort their young. It was almost like a lullaby, a sound that carried across generations, from mothers long gone to those who still walked the plains. She wrapped her trunk around his body, rocking him gently, coaxing him back toward life. Around them, the herd began to return. They had watched the battle from a distance, too afraid to interfere. Now, one by one, they approached, the older females first, followed by the younger ones, forming a circle around the fallen pair. Their trunks reached out, brushing against the calf's body and the mother's shoulders. It was their way of mourning and of healing, a quiet, wordless show of unity. The python stirred. Its long, broken body shifted weakly in the mud. Scales glinted faintly in the fading light. Its once powerful coils now lay slack, its ribs bent and scarred. It lifted its head, tongue flicking, tasting the dust and blood. Then, with painful slowness, it began to slide away, leaving a winding trail across the earth as it disappeared into the reeds. N01 followed. The herd stood still, watching in silence as the great serpent vanished into shadow. Nature had decided. There would be no vengeance, no final blow, only survival. The mother leaned closer to her baby. She blew softly against his face, sending a puff of warm air over him. He blinked, his small eyes opening just enough to catch the golden light of the setting sun. With a shaky effort, he lifted his head and rested it against her leg. The sound that came from the herd then was unlike their usual trumpets. It was low and soft, a chorus of relief. The sun sank lower, painting the savanna in red and gold. Long shadows stretched across the plain, turning every tree and elephant into living silhouettes. The air cooled, carrying the scent of rain far in the distance. The river glittered faintly, flowing past the muddy battlefield as if washing away the memory of what had happened. The mother elephant finally rose to her full height, her body towering over the others. She was wounded, her skin torn and bleeding, but she stood firm. Her calf pressed close to her leg, leaning into her strength. Together, they took a step, then another. The herd began to move too, slow and silent, their feet leaving deep impressions in the soft earth. Each print filled with the last light of day, glowing for a moment before fading into shadow. For a while, the mother walked without looking back. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, she paused. Her ears flicked, catching the last cry of a distant bird. She turned her head slightly toward the reeds, where the python had vanished. There was no movement now, only the whisper of wind through the grass. Her gaze lingered there for a heartbeat, not with hatred, but with understanding. The python had done what nature demanded of it, and she had done the same. In the wild, there are no villains, only hunger, fear, and the unbreakable will to live. When the first stars began to appear, the herd found a clearing not far from the river. The grass there was tall and soft, swaying gently in the cool evening breeze. The mother guided her calf down beside her, helping him lie against her side. His breathing had steadied, his eyes half closed with exhaustion. She covered him with her trunk, a living shield. Around them, the others settled into the quiet rhythm of night. Crickets began to sing again. A hyena's laughter echoed faintly from the far hills. Life was returning, cautious but constant. For the mother elephant, sleep would not come easily. She stayed awake, her ears twitching at every sound, her eyes fixed on the stars above. They shimmered faintly through a veil of dust, cold and distant. She exhaled slowly, a long breath that stirred the grass around her. The world was cruel, but it was also beautiful. It gave and it took, without reason, without apology. Her calf stirred beside her, letting out a soft sigh. She brushed her trunk along his back once more, the gesture slow and full of love. Beneath the stars, they looked like a single shape, one heart, one life. As the night deepened, the savannah returned to peace. The wind carried the scent of the river and the soft rustle of leaves. Somewhere in the dark, the python crawled deeper into the brush, vanishing into the story of the land. Just another shadow swallowed by time. And on the open plain, under the endless African sky, a mother and her calf rested together, wounded but alive, when dawn came again. The first light fell upon them like a blessing. Dust floated in the air, glowing gold. The calf rose shakily, his legs unsteady but stronger than before. The herd began to move again, their silhouettes framed by the rising sun. The mother walked at the front, her child close beside her. Each step she took carried both pain and pride, reminders of what love had cost her, and what it had saved behind them. The river flowed on, washing over the marks of battle, carrying them away into the heart of the wilderness. And as the morning wind swept across the plains, the silence of night gave way to the hum of life once more, the call of birds, the whisper of grass, the steady rhythm of survival. Because in the wild, there are no promises, only moments. And on this morning, after all the blood and fear and noise, life had chosen to continue. The calf's shadow stretched beside his mother's, two shapes merging into one. In the endless circle of the savannah, love had survived.